and welcome to Clearview News, reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. In the news, more calls for resignation of National Chairman of All Progressives Congress as the dust over the party primaries is yet to settle. Nigerians demand end to instant justice, say barbarism is a negation to the sanctity of human life. Poor state of Abuja Stadium raises concern as the countdown to the 19th National Sports Festival begins. I am Vivian Okeya. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday said that he inherited a mind-boggling mismanaged Nigeria from the previous governments. The president, while receiving a group from the southeastern parts of the country under the aegis of One-on-One Nigeria at the presidential villa, said his government is trying to organize the country on the path of economic recovery and growth. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, quoted the president as saying that the extent of mismanagement he met when his administration came on board was mind-boggling. The group, led by Chief Chido Obidiegu, said its members have seen the work being done on the long-abandoned Second Niger Bridge, as well as other road projects being constructed in many parts of the southeastern region. The group said President Buhari's performance so far gives its members every reason to support him for a second term. The Kaduna-based public affairs analyst who has been advising Adams Oshiomhole to step down honorably as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC has carried his crusade to Clearview office in Abuja. While fielding questions on our current affairs interview program, Dennis Emmanuel said, apart from the fact that Oshiomhole does not qualify to fight imposition of candidates, he cannot win the fight against the governors that worked for his emergence as party chairman.
Invariably, what Adams Oshiomhole is trying to do in his own party is to instill discipline and stand for internal party democracy. But you see, a lot of people will not want things to happen that way. Because as they say, he who needs equity must come with clean hands. Yeah. Adams should also check himself. Was he a beneficiary of such a process? Did he ever participate in such a process? Is he a godfather to anybody? If these answers, Adams can say no to them, then it means the fight Adams is fighting is a very good fight. And we will pray and call the angels to support him to make him succeed, if he never benefited from such. But if Adams Oshiomhole cannot answer affirmatively and say, look, no, and then the answer turns around to be that he benefited from this process of skewing things, he acted as a godfather to somebody, he is still acting as a godfather to somebody, then where is the equity? Where is the justice? Wherefore will Adams Oshiomhole stand now to say, I will not want others to do what I have done before? If you're leading Labour, you know, you could bamboozle the people with big grammar and delegate them as if they are children in kindergarten. But in politics, in party politics, everybody's opinion must count. Even the emergence of Adams Oshiomhole as the chairman of the party can also be questioned. It can be probed. There are other people who came out and wanted to contest, and at the dying minute, they were forced by the same people that Adams Oshiomhole is fighting today to vacate, throw away the aspiration and allow Adams to emerge. I want to believe, I'm not a member of APC, I want to believe that probably maybe why they did that was because they thought Adams was also coming in there to fly their kite. But unfortunately, everybody has seen that Adams decided to use them to get to where he is today, and at the end, he has revealed his true color. So the people are no longer comfortable with him. If Adams, the fight he's fighting, is actually a fight that is not for his self-interest, if it is a fight for the soul of the party, if it's a fight for the survival of the party, and those who put you there say they don't want you again, he should take his leave. Because the right thing to do is when people in your own party have decided to say, look, mister, we are fed up with your leadership style. We do not need you again. In other climes, you don't even continue to force yourself to remain in office. What you do is to take the honorable part, and that honorable part is for you to resign. Your words, what you stand for, your ideals will speak for you after you have left the office. And who knows, tomorrow, the same people who haunt you today may still come back and say, you were actually right in what you were trying to do. But in Nigeria, we don't want that to happen. We want to fight to finish. And that's why maybe Adams and his co-warriors in APC will continue to fight while Nigerians will keep on enjoying the scenario. But it's all a shame.
Chairman of the Ondo State Chapter of African Democratic Congress, ADC, BC Ogungbemi, has been kidnapped, along with 4 other persons by unknown gunmen. ADC spokesperson in Ondo, Idowu Akinrola, who confirmed the report, said Ogungbemi and other victims were kidnapped on Wednesday evening along the Oba Akoko Owo Road. Akinrola said Ogungbemi was traveling from Ikare Akoko to Akure in company of his special assistant, driver, one Jide Ikpinsagba, and the party chieftain in the state, Princess Abdulkarim. Officials of the State Police Command were at the scene of the incident where an empty vehicle was discovered on the roadside. However, the police are yet to ascertain the whereabouts of the victims. The Senate on Wednesday made a U-turn on the source of funding for the budgets of the Independent National Electoral Commission and security agencies to conduct the 2019 general elections, while the National Assembly had earlier approved 242.245 billion naira from the Special Intervention Fund, from the Special Intervention Program under the service-wide votes of the presidency. Half of the money will now be taken from the 2018 budgets of ministries, departments, and agencies. The move by the legislature followed the adoption of a motion by the chairman of Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Danjuma Goje, and 18 other senators. Out of the 242 billion naira for the elections, INEC will get 189.007 billion naira, while the Office of the National Security Advisor and security agencies will get 53.237 billion naira. President Muhammadu Buhari had, in a letter to the National Assembly dated July 11, 2018, presented a 228 billion naira supplementary budget to the National Assembly, asking the legislature to reallocate part of the 578 billion voted to the projects inserted into the 2018 Appropriation Act by the lawmakers to fund the exercise. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved 11 billion naira for the purchase of firefighting trucks for the Nigeria Fire Service and construction of technology building for the Nigeria Immigration Service. The approval was granted during the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House Villa, Abuja. Minister of Interior, General Abdulrahman Dambazao, retired, who briefed newsmen at the end of the meeting, said 3.9 billion naira was approved for the purchase of 22 firefighting trucks and water tanks for the fire service. He said the purchase of the vehicles was part of the reform initiative of the present administration to turn around the country's fire service. Similarly, the Council has also approved 7.1 billion naira for the construction of technology building for the Nigeria Immigration Service. Dambazao said the contract has been awarded to Julius Berger and that when completed, the technology building would enable Immigration Service interface with sister agencies working on internal security, border control, among others. Niger State government has warned Nigerians to be cautious of meat in circulation that contains steroids applied by local livestock farmers and butchers. Steroids are used for decreasing inflammation and reducing the activity of the immune system. They are used to treat a variety of inflammatory diseases and conditions. Niger State Commissioner for Livestock and Fisheries, Zachary Bawa, informed journalists about the poisonous meats in circulation after the weekly Executive Council meeting. Bawa said the use of steroids for fattening purposes by livestock farmers and butchers, with the danger it portends, was generating concern for the government. He said although veterinary drugs were critical to meeting the challenges of providing adequate amounts of food, especially meats, but stated that the use of steroids poses a risk to consumer health. Bawa also disclosed that drugs used in food animals could negatively affect consumer health due to secretion of edible animal tissues, which amount to either direct and short-term hazards or indirect and long-term hazards to human health. The commissioner said an interministerial committee, which comprises his ministry and that of Agriculture, Health, as well as the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration, NAFDAC, will soon be set up to address the malpractice. Jungle justice over time has been on the front burner of public discourse. While a school of thought believes it is taking us back to the primitive age, another believes that jungle justice will continue as long as the law handles it with kid gloves. Correspondent Prudence Okonna spoke with some Nigerians on the way out, and her findings are quite revealing.
Social media is awash with accusations ranging from alleged adultery, kidnapping, to the theft of such things as soup condiments. Oftentimes, the victims are either stripped naked and paraded along the streets, beaten, and some even killed and burnt beyond recognition. All this happening in broad daylight. Till date, there has been no arrest, trial, or conviction of any of the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. Worried by the growing trend, some Nigerians want the government to act swiftly to ensure the sanctity of life.
It's our system. We have problem in our system, as in police or the court, or everything we have problem needs. Government need to put everything in order. If they put everything in order, everything will work fine. That's the main reason for this jungle justice. When somebody commits some offenses and at the end of the day you see them outside again, people will take law into their hand.
Law are not working. And that is the problem that we are having. If the laws is working, all these things will be under control. But whereby the politicians will buy the judiciary, where it's supposed to be an independence on their own and do what is right. But if we have proper judicial control in this country, all those things will come under control.
A citizen do carry law into their hand, right? So in a scenario whereby if somebody carry law into his hand, he has to be penalized. So that if somebody is having interest or having the idea or want to take law into his or her hand, then the government, if the government take a proactive action against anybody that take law into his or her hand, so at least that can minimize the rate of jungle justice in the country.
A legal practitioner, Joseph Ishaku, said the time has come for the law to take its course.
There is generally no fair hearing in jungle justice. Nobody wants to know whether you have done it or not. In fact, a lot of people, it's possible that they don't even know what actually transpired. One or two persons started, and then everybody will join.
That's true.
Even if the person is caught in the act, you don't have the right to declare him guilty. That is why in court you hear accused, you hear alleged, you hear the defendant. It's only the court that will pronounce somebody as guilty.
Okay.
So, in the situation of somebody who has died, of course, you cannot enforce the right of a dead person for him.
Of course.
Because as far as the person who is dead, there is nothing left for him again. We can only talk about maybe those who survived, or what should their families do,
Exactly.
or what steps should they take in a situation like this. Education, information is power. Some people feel, most at times when things happen, emotions go high, and then our reasoning drops low. So we should be enlightened that our system has a laid down procedure for an offender. If somebody commits an offense, or you think he has committed an offense, report him to the appropriate authority.
For many Nigerians, only the diligent persecution of offenders by the police will help to stem the tide of barbarism, which is often fueled by the desire for instant justice. Prudence Okonna reporting for Clearview Television.
News. We will be right back after this break. Welcome back. Stakeholders have expressed worry over the poor state of sports facilities ahead of the National Sports Festival that is scheduled to hold in Abuja from December 6th to the 20th. The current state of the facilities means that the capital city may host a below-average festival in place of the world-class festival that is being anticipated by all. Our correspondent, Omahi Jeremiah, has the details.
Barely 1 month to the commencement of the 19th National Sports Festival, there is little to show that the organizers intend to deliver a world-class event. Apart from the poor state of infrastructure, the general preparation for the FCT contingent remains an issue of concern. Information that the FCT administration only approved the budget for the festival early this week has heightened fear that too much bureaucracy associated with the disbursement of funds may be a major cog in the wheel of progress. Although the Ministry of Sport, as the chief host on Tuesday, made a declaration that the National Stadium will be shut down from next week for renovation, there is fear that the timing is wrong given the limited time left to the commencement of the festival.
The condition of the state of the Abuja National Stadium is pathetic. It's that of a case of abandonment, because you walk around, not just inside the pitch here, the environment is terrible. It's not habitable, and that's not so good for a stadium we spend millions of naira to erect. And again and again, we're also having this issue of maintenance culture. It's a reoccurrence in the whole country. You go to facilities around the country that were built with plenty of money, and still those facilities cannot be maintained. It's very sickening, because now this festival is just a couple of weeks away from now. But look at the state of the stadium. It is still in a messy state, and nobody's saying anything about it. And how do you think you can converge hundreds and thousands of kids who are coming around the country to a place like this? It is not acceptable.
Yeah, on paper, there's going to be a National Sports Festival on paper. But from what I can see here, I doubt that. I'm really worried about the state of facility. There are no signs. I mean, we're talking about barely a month to the biggest sporting festival locally, and yet there are no signs. The stadium facility, the member, is in a state of disrepair. The pitch is patched virtually on every angle, and the most worrisome aspect is that even the host Federal Capital Territory, that's FCT Abuja, does not even have its athletes in camp yet. So it must happen, but looking at the preparation, looking at the state of facilities, looking at the body language of the policymakers, I don't know if we're going to have a world-class national sports festival.
Well, I'm not very confident, and but, the situation doesn't really give one plenty of hope. Now, I think it's one thing for us to have a sports festival, and I think it's another thing for us to have a befitting sports festival. We may take this sports festival, well, some years back, just because we want to have the ball bounce, just because we want to have people play tennis, well, just because we want to have a charade called the National Sports Festival.
You've heard from the Sports Writers Association of Nigeria and the concern that they've raised concerning the upcoming National Sport Festival. Well, for me as a person, I still believe that we have a lot of work to do in terms of making sure that the facilities for this coming festival is ready. The National Sport Festival, as you all know, is not just a competition, but it's like our own mini Olympic, and I believe that we should try and ensure that facility and everything for this championship is top-notch. Well, for Abuja, the host city, I believe that their athletes not yet in camp, they are going to do so in the next few weeks. So let's just watch and keep our fingers crossed and see if the Ministry of Youth and Sport and the local organizing committee of the 2018 National Sport Festival are going to yield to the clarion call of the sport writers and do the right thing. From the National Stadium, Umahi Jeremiah reporting for Clearview TV.
The quest of the Super Falcons to retain their African Women Championship crown is under threat following the decision of CAF to reinstate Equatorial Guinea back into the tournament. The former champions were disqualified from the tournament weeks back after Kenya filed an appeal over the eligibility of Annette Jackie Mesomo, who took part in qualifying matches. However, the African football governing body made a U-turn on the decision on Wednesday, yesterday, to allow the two-time champions to compete in the tournament. CAF ruled that the player in question, Annette Jackie Mesomo, is eligible to play for the national team of Equatorial Guinea. That has cleared the way for the two-time champions to compete in Ghana. The inclusion of Equatorial Guinea will now heat up the competition for semi-finals and final place phase in Group B that already has the Super Falcons of Nigeria and Bayana of South Africa. Hard-fighting Dolphins were hard done by after missing several chances on Wednesday, thus handing the 2018 Zenith Bank Women's Basketball League title to defending champions First Bank. The Elephant Girls retained their title after beating 2015 champions Dolphin 84-66 in the finals of the Final Six inside the indoor sports hall of the National Stadium, Lagos. Dolphins found themselves down 22-7 in the first quarter of the tie against their highly experienced opponents led by the Tigress star Nkechi Akashili. They struggled in the second quarter as they fell 43-19. But whatever Coach Ochuko Okorogu told her girls during the break worked wonders on resumption of the third quarter. Backed by their fans, the youthful Dolphins side began an amazing resurgence powered by the diminutive Veronica Charles to win the third quarter 24-14. Dolphins were rewarded with 1.2 million naira, while winners First Bank got 1.5 million naira. Earlier in the third place match, Nigeria Customs defeated debutants MFM 57-49 to take home the 1 million naira cash prize. You are watching Clearview News. We will be right back after this time out. The Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, says it will close the outbound lane of the Bill Clinton Drive, which leads traffic from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua Expressway, while the inbound lane will now be used by motorists in dual mode. The Director, Engineering Services, Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA, Shehu Ahmad, who made this known in Abuja, explained that the road closure will allow for full rehabilitation work to be carried out on the outbound lane. Ahmad said while the repair work lasts, traffic will be diverted to the inbound lane, which will now be used as a dual carriageway. According to him, FCDA officials in reflective jackets will attend to inquiries, broken down vehicles, and direct traffic flow, among others, in a bid to avoid traffic congestion on the road. He therefore called on motorists and other road users to cooperate with the contractor handling the reconstruction work and officials of the FCDA.
A very large session of stakeholder meetings seeking to intimate and carry along all stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I mean those who have in one way or the other an affair with the Bill Clinton Drive, which is the road linking the airport expressway, Umar Musa Yar'Adua way to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. That short bit is what we call the Bill Clinton Drive. And the state of the road called for the necessary rehabilitation work, which led to convening of the stakeholders forum to bring to bear what we need to do on that road, especially noting the importance of the road being a presidential route, as well as it is the only gateway into the city, both for foreigners and other passenger users of the airport and other adjoining properties there. So it was resolved at that stakeholders forum that we will first embark on the repair of the shoulder. Both the two carriageways, both the inbound and the outbound, the shoulders of these roads have failed, and several sections of the road also have failed. So we resolved to carry out the repair and expansion of the shoulder such that on the inbound, such that we will close the outbound segment of the outbound to allow the comprehensive repair work on that segment be carried out. Meanwhile, we will now, having expanded the inbound, divert traffic so that it will allow us to utilize the road in dual mode.
The Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts has commended the Federal Capital Territory Administration over the success achieved on the Abuja Light Rail project, saying it has put Abuja in good stead and in conformity with other cities of the world. The committee chairman, Senator Shehu Sani, gave the commendation when members of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts paid an oversight visit to the FCT administration in Abuja. Senator Sani, who expressed worry over the implementation of the local content aspect of the project, said it will be more beneficial to have Nigerians fully involved in the operation of the railway project. He said the committee was in the FCTA to receive a comprehensive report on the utilization of funds received as loans under the federal government lending plans as approved by the National Assembly. The senator also noted that the committee has come under fire on the issue of incessant approvals of loans, so much so that it was now a struggle to convince legislators to append their signatures to proposals on borrowing plans. The FCT Minister, Muhammad Bello, however, allayed the fears of the committee in this regard, noting that consultants handling the project were mainly Nigerians, with many FCT engineers working with the Chinese to deliver on the project. He said that the commencement of the railway service is already stimulating investments on the railway corridors and helping to develop the capacity of some young Nigerians in railway technology, operations, and ancillary services. The Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and the staff housing quarters around the airport were thrown into darkness on Wednesday due to outage of public power supply that lasted for an hour. Passengers who were processing their departure flight and those arriving in the country had to endure the darkness as they waited until electricity was eventually restored. Reacting to the power outage, the General Manager, Public Affairs, Federal Aviation Authority of Nigeria, Henrietta Yakubu, said the authority has contacted the Southwest Regional Manager in charge of power supply to the airport, who confirmed that power has been restored to the airport. 3 persons have been confirmed dead as a boat carrying 20 passengers capsized between Liverpool and Coconut Under Bridge in Lagos. The boat en route Ojo from Liverpool capsized few minutes after takeoff. The General Manager, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Adeshina Tiamiyu, said that the accident occurred on Wednesday at 8:20 p.m. local time. Tiamiyu said that the rescue team is still searching for 5 other missing passengers, while 12 people have been rescued. He said the bodies of 2 males out of the 3 confirmed dead have been handed over to the State Environment Health Monitoring Unit to be deposited at the morgue. The body of the 3rd victim, a woman only identified as Alaja, was handed over to her family after proper documentation by the Marine Police officers for burial. You are still watching the Clearview television news. We will be right back after this break. North Korea has called for a postponement of the planned high-level talks between U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and his North Korean counterpart Kim Yong-chol because of a tight schedule. South Korean Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa, who said this, didn't offer further reasons for the postponement. Kang dropped the hint while responding to a question by a lawmaker of the major opposition party, Liberty Korea Party, in the background. While avoiding direct answers, Kang said she was yet to speak with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the U.S. Special Representative of North Korea, Stephen Biegun, and his South Korean counterpart, Lee Do-hoo, on the call for postponement of the talks by North Korea. She said the United States notified the South Korean government of the postponement before the State Department made an announcement on Wednesday. Kang added that the U.S. midterm election results will not have much impact on the ongoing process for denuclearizing North Korea's nuclear weapons. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that he expects to meet North Korea's leader sometime early next year. The White House has suspended the press pass of CNN reporter Jim Acosta for engaging in a verbal exchange with President Donald Trump during a news conference. The heated exchange began after Acosta clung to the microphone and persisted with questions about what he described as the president's repeated and angry denunciation of a caravan of poor Central American migrants making their way through Mexico to the U.S. border, asking why Trump has characterized it as an invasion. A visibly angry Trump called reporter Jim Acosta a rude, terrible person after the CNN White House correspondent refused the president's orders to sit down and yield the microphone during the conference held on Wednesday, one day after the U.S. midterm elections.
The people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an
you
invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
would
would
be
much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter, go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts his butt.
Well, I'm not
like
a big
the rest
fan
of
of yours either, so
I understand.
To be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. You repeatedly said...
You aren't the best.
Mr. President, you repeatedly, over the course of the...
Okay, just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people.
Hours later, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the White House is suspending the hard pass of the reporter involved until further notice. Sanders, who said President Trump believes in a free press, expects and welcomes tough questions of him and his administration, but that they, however, will never tolerate a reporter placing his hands on a young woman just trying to do her job as a White House intern. And reports just reaching Clearview News desk say that Jim Acosta has been sacked by the CNN over his altercation with President Trump. A Pakistani Christian woman who insulted Islam and was acquitted for death sentence after spending 8 years on death row has been freed from prison. Her lawyer says the Supreme Court ruling last week sparked violent protests from Islamists, and the government agreed to their demand to stop her leaving Pakistan. News of her release led to some confusion, with reports she had been taken to another country, but the Foreign Office later confirmed that she was still in Pakistan. Her husband has said they were in danger and pleaded for asylum. Several countries have offered to grant them asylum seeker status. Asia Bibi, a mother of 5, was released from prison in the city of Multan. Her lawyer, Saif Muluk, said. Also known as Asia Norin, she was convicted in 2010 of insulting the Prophet Muhammad during a row with her neighbors. The Pakistani government has said it will start legal proceedings to prevent her going abroad after agreeing the measure to end the violent protests. To end the news, another look at the highlights. National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, asked to step down over controversies surrounding the party's primaries across the states. Nigerians call for an immediate stop to instant justice, saying it is an act of barbarism. There are renewed concerns over the poor state of Abuja Stadium as the countdown to the 19th National Sports Festival begins. And that's the news. For these and more, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel via Clearview TV. Like us on Facebook via Clearview TV Online, and follow us on Twitter via Clearview TV Online. I am Vivian Okeya. Thank you for joining us.